What if you had everything and then lost it all? What if the people meant to love you became your enemies? And what if one magical night could change your destiny forever? This is the story of a girl who lost everything but never lost hope. A girl who went from princess in her own home to a servant in rags, to the belle of the royal ball. This is the timeless tale of Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a beautiful home filled with love and laughter, there lived a young girl named Ella. She had everything a child could want: a kind father who adored her, a gentle mother who guided her, and a home full of warmth and happiness. One sunny afternoon, Ella's mother knelt beside her in the garden, tucking a strand of golden hair behind her ear. Her mother's eyes were full of love as she spoke. "Remember, my darling," she said softly, "have courage and be kind. No matter what happens in life, if you are brave and good to others, you will always find your way." Ella smiled and hugged her mother tightly, never imagining how important those words would become. But happiness, as it sometimes does, came to an end. Tragedy struck when Ella's beloved mother fell gravely ill. Despite all their prayers and hopes, she passed away, leaving Ella and her father heartbroken. Ella sat by her father's side as she stared out the window, lost in grief. "She would want us to be happy, Papa," Ella whispered, though her own heart was breaking. Her father turned to her with tears streaming down his face. "You're so much like her, my dear," he said, his voice trembling. "So much like her." From that day forward, their home felt emptier, quieter, and sadder than ever before. Time passed, and Ella's father, hoping to bring happiness back to their home, decided to remarry. He introduced his new wife, a widow with 2 daughters of her own, with nervous optimism. "My dear," he said to his new wife, "I hope you'll welcome Ella as your own daughter." The stepmother smiled tightly, her lips curved but her eyes cold. "Of course," she said smoothly. "We are one family now." But Ella noticed something her father didn't see. Behind that smile, the stepmother's eyes were as cold as ice, and her 2 daughters looked at Ella with jealousy and scorn. Shortly after the marriage, Ella's father announced he must take an important business trip. Ella's heart sank with worry. "I'll only be gone a short while," he promised, embracing his daughter tightly. "Take care of your new mother and sisters while I'm away." Ella clung to him desperately. "Please come back soon, Papa, please." But he never returned. Just days later, Ella received a brief, cold message. "Your father passed away on his journey. You must be strong." In an instant, Ella had lost everything: her mother, her father, and her childhood. She was now alone with 3 strangers who had never truly loved her. With her father gone, the stepmother's true nature emerged like a storm cloud. All pretense of kindness vanished. "This house is far too large and expensive to maintain," the stepmother announced coldly. "We must dismiss all the servants immediately." Ella looked up in confusion. "But who will do the work?" The stepmother's cruel smile made Ella's blood run cold. "You will, girl. You will take over all their duties: the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, everything." "But this is my home," Ella protested. "My father built this house for—" "Your home?" Stepmother sneered, her voice dripping with venom. "Your father left nothing but debts. I provide for you now, and you will earn your keep like any servant. You'll sleep in the attic with the mice. Now go." And just like that, Ella became a prisoner in her own home. Alone in the cold, dusty attic, Ella found unexpected friends. Mice scurried around her feet, and birds flew through the broken window to keep her company. She fashioned tiny clothes from fabric scraps for a plump little mouse. "There you go, little one," she said gently. "Now you'll be warm too." A bluebird landed on her shoulder, chirping a sympathetic song. Ella smiled through her tears. "You're right, little friend. Things could always be worse. At least I have all of you, and at least I can still dream." Her stepsisters began to mock her, calling her Cinderella because she was always covered in cinders from cleaning the fireplace. But Ella, now Cinderella, held on to hope. One morning, everything changed. A royal messenger arrived at the door with a flourish of trumpets. "Hear ye," he proclaimed. "By order of His Majesty the King, every maiden in the kingdom is hereby invited to a grand royal ball tomorrow evening. The prince himself will be in the attendance." The elder stepsister squealed with delight, pushing past her younger sister. "The prince? He'll surely choose me as his bride." "No, me," the younger stepsister shrieked, elbowing her aside. "I'm far more beautiful." Cinderella asked quietly from the corner, "Does that mean I may go too?" The stepmother turned slowly, a cruel smile spreading across her face. "You? To the ball?" She laughed coldly. "We'll see about that, my dear, we'll see." The stepmother made Cinderella a false promise. "You may attend the ball if you finish all your chores and find something suitable to wear," she said with a dismissive wave. Cinderella worked frantically all day and night. Finally, she appeared wearing a modest dress she'd repaired herself. "I'm ready," she announced hopefully. But her stepsisters descended on her like vultures. "Those are my beads," the elder sister shrieked, ripping them violently from Cinderella's neck. "And that's my sash," the younger sister tore at the fabric, shredding it to pieces. Within seconds, Cinderella's dress was destroyed. The stepmother watched with satisfaction. "Oh my," she said coldly, "I suppose you have nothing suitable to wear after all. What a pity. Come on, girls, we are leaving." And with that, they swept out the door, leaving Cinderella in tears and tatters. Cinderella ran into the garden, collapsed onto a stone bench, and wept. All her hopes had been crushed. She had lost everything: her parents, her home, her dignity, and now even this one night of happiness. Suddenly, a warm, glowing light appeared before her. "Now, now, dear child, dry those tears," said a kind, elderly voice. Cinderella looked up in amazement. An elderly woman with a glowing wand stood before her, surrounded by sparkles of light. Who are you?" Cinderella stammered. "Why, I'm your fairy godmother, of course," the woman said with a twinkle in her eye. "And you, my dear, are going to the ball." But how? I have nothing." "Nonsense. Now let's see. We'll need a pumpkin from the garden, some mice, a few birds, and, yes, a little bit of magic." With a wave of her wand and a shower of magical sparkles, everything transformed. The pumpkin became a magnificent golden coach. The mice became noble horses. Cinderella's rags became a stunning ball gown of shimmering gold, and on her feet appeared delicate glass slippers. "Oh," Cinderella gasped, twirling in wonder, "it's beautiful." "You are beautiful, my dear," the fairy godmother said warmly. "But remember, at the stroke of midnight, the spell will be broken. Everything will return to what it was. You must leave before then." Cinderella arrived at the palace, and every head turned. Who was this mysterious, radiant maiden? No one recognized her, not even her own stepfamily. The prince himself stopped mid-conversation when he saw her. He walked directly to Cinderella and bowed gracefully. "I don't believe we've met," he said, his eyes filled with wonder. "May I have this dance?" Cinderella curtsied nervously, her heart racing. Yes, of course, Your Highness." As they waltzed across the ballroom floor, the prince smiled warmly. "Please, just call me by my name. Tell me, where are you from? I feel as though I've been waiting my whole life to meet you." Cinderella laughed, feeling lighter than air. "Oh, I'm from nowhere special, just a girl who loves to dream." They danced every dance together, talking and laughing, and for the first time in years, Cinderella felt truly happy. She had forgotten all about the midnight until the clock began to chime. Bong! The first chime echoed through the ballroom. Cinderella's eyes widened in panic. "Oh no, I must go, right now!" The prince reached for her hand desperately. "Wait, please wait. I don't even know your name." "I'm sorry, I can't. I have to." Cinderella pulled away and ran towards the grand staircase. "Please," the prince called after her, running to follow. "Will I ever see you again?" But she had already gone, racing down the palace steps. In her hurry, one glass slipper slipped from her foot, but there was no time to retrieve it. The 12th chime was about to strike. The prince reached the steps and found only the single delicate glass slipper, glittering in the moonlight. He picked it up carefully and held it to his heart. "I will find you," he whispered. "I don't know who you are, but I will find you." The next morning, the prince summoned his Grand Duke to the throne room. He held up the delicate glass slipper with absolute determination. "Grand Duke, I will marry the maiden whose foot fits the slipper. Search the entire kingdom. Go to every house, every village, every cottage. Find her." The Duke bowed nervously. "But, Your Majesty, suppose we never find her? There are thousands of maidens in the kingdom." The prince's voice was firm and unwavering. "We will find her. We must. She is the one. She is the only one. Now go." And so the search began, house by house, door by door, maiden by maiden. Meanwhile, back at home, Cinderella hummed the beautiful waltz from the ball as she scrubbed the floor, reliving every magical moment in her mind. Her stepmother heard the melody and froze. She recognized that tune. It was the same one played when the mysterious maiden danced with the prince. Her eyes narrowed with terrible realization. "It was you," she hissed, grabbing Cinderella's arm. "You were the girl at the ball. That was you." Before Cinderella could respond, she was dragged up the stairs. "No, please, let me go." The stepmother threw her into the attic and locked the heavy door with a cruel smile. "You'll stay locked here until that fool duke is long gone. The prince will never find you. Never." Cinderella pounded on the locked door, but it was of no use. She was trapped. When the Grand Duke arrived at Cinderella's house, the stepmother ushered him with exaggerated courtesy. "Oh, Your Grace, my daughters are so excited to try on the slipper." The elder sister went first, forcing her enormous foot into the delicate slipper. "It fits! It fits!" she insisted, though her toes were clearly cramped and bulging. "Madam," the Duke sighed wearily, "it most certainly does not fit." The younger stepsister tried next, pushing and shoving. "Perhaps if I just—" "Ow! The slipper won't even go past her heel." The Duke stood to leave, exhausted and disappointed. But then a sweet voice drifted down from upstairs, singing the waltz from the ball. "Who is that singing?" he demanded. "There's someone else in this house." The stepmother blocked the stairs desperately. "No one, just a servant girl who couldn't possibly—" "The royal proclamation says every maiden must try the slipper," the Duke thundered. "Bring her down at once." The mice who had been watching everything had worked together to steal the attic key and unlock Cinderella's door. Cinderella descended the stairs carefully, still in her servant's dress but with quiet dignity. Her stepfamily gasped in horror. But the stepmother wasn't finished. As the Duke's assistant carried the glass slipper on a velvet pillow, she struck out her foot and tripped him. The slipper flew through the air and shattered on the floor. "Oh no!" the Duke cried in despair. "It's broken. The prince's only hope is destroyed." But Cinderella smiled gently and reached into her apron pocket. "Fortunately, Your Grace," she said softly, "I have the other one." The stepmother gasped. Her daughters shrieked. The Duke's mouth fell open. Cinderella produced the matching glass slipper, perfect and gleaming. She sat down, and the Duke carefully placed it on her foot. it slid on perfectly. The Duke raced back to the palace with the news. Within the hour, the prince himself arrived at Cinderella's home, his heart pounding with hope. When he saw her standing there, no longer in a ball gown, but in simple clothes, his face lit up with pure joy. "It's you," he breathed, taking her hands in his. "I've found you at last." Cinderella beamed through happy tears. "And I've found my way home." The prince knelt before her. "Will you marry me? Not because you're a princess or because of the magical gown, but because you are the one my heart has been searching for." "Yes," Cinderella whispered. "Yes, I will." Cinderella and the prince married in a celebration filled with joy, music, and love. The entire kingdom rejoiced. And what of the cruel stepmother and stepsisters? Cinderella, remembering her mother's words, forgave them, though they were never welcome to her new life. Cinderella lived by her mother's wisdom forever, after having courage in difficult times, being kind to even those who hurt her, and never giving up on her dreams. And she lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more tales every week. See you in the next trail.